Welcome to day 4, session 2 of Steel Mint Engage 3.0, the Virtual Connect. Engage 3.0 is an online webinar series being held from the 1st till the 4th of November 2022. In these webinars, we have already discussed a range of issues related to steel, iron ore, coal, ferroalloys, and non-ferrous, and have come up with telling answers. Our efforts are aimed at discussing changing market dynamics in finished steel and raw materials to facilitate decision-making by businesses. I'm Madhumita Mukherjee, editor Steel Mint, and I have with me Jaiprakash Sahu, Assistant General Manager, Scrap and Recycling, Steel Mint, to jointly host this webinar on impact of recent bulk supply on Indian scrap market.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction.
I would also like to inform that we will take audience queries at the end of the session and requesting all of you to send in your queries along with your name and the company's name as well. And we will take this up towards the end of the session. I would also like to thank the Ministry of Steel and the Indian Steel Association for their logo support to this webinar. I now invite my colleague Jaiprakash Sahu to make a presentation on the topic.
Thank you, ma'am. Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible to you all?
Yes. Yes.
Very good morning to all of our audience. So today we are going to talk about the impact of recent bulk supply in Indian scrap market. So it is most talked, and it is the the scrap has become nation's asset nowadays for different countries. So in our country, especially in India, it is one of the major consumer of scrap. And there was a recent trend that we have shifted from container to bulk procurement. And I will just quickly go through all the numbers, means how our industry is performing and how is the trend as compared to last year. Then we will be more curious to listen our prominent guest. So we will just set the agenda for this discussion. First of all, if we talk about the bulk procurement and the scrap procurement trend, and we can clearly see in 2022, the scrap procurement has gone 3.5 times more than it was the combined volume of 2020 and 2021. So it has become very significant. If we talk about the India's performance, so globally, the third biggest scrap importer in H1 was India, just after the Turkey and South Korea. And its imports increased by marginal 0.3% to 2.6 million tons as compared to last year. And the main suppliers were the UAE with 0.7 million tons, US with 0.2 million tons, and the Singapore 0.1 million tons. So in first 6 months, if we talk about the scrap consumption globally, so it came down 8%. And also, if we talk about the global crude steel production, then it has dropped to 6% as per the latest BIR report. So scrap consumption has came down globally. But if we talk about the India's crude steel production, so it has gone 5% higher in H1 as compared to the last year, whereas the scrap import till September 2022 was higher than more than 30% as compared to same period of last year. So it is clearly visible that we are consuming more scrap than metallics. So as per Steel Mint calculation, the total scrap import in 2022 may reach to 5.5 million tons. So it will be second highest after the 2019 figure. And the proportion of bulk is also going to be higher. So the bulk scrap trend. So this is the new trend in Indian scrap procurement. So if we can see from the table that over the months, the bulk scrap volume which is connected to the Indian ports is increasing. And in September, we have seen that 2 lakh tons of scrap connected to the Indian ports. It has the volumes and the numbers were again breached by 3 lakh tons in October. And in the scheduled vessels in November, we have already got information for the 3 vessels which are having volume of around 1 lakh tons. So total 7 lakh tons or 8 lakh tons, nearly 8 lakh tons, we have got the information that this volume is going to connect with Indian ports. And so if you talk about the port wise numbers, so Chennai was obviously the biggest destination for the bulk scrap import. Second was the Kandla. We have also seen volumes in Hazira and Vizag. And if we talk about the material wise trend, so obviously the HMS and shredded, which were most favored by the Indian mills, and there were also other there were other type of materials as well. In country-wise bulk export segment, USA has topped the number, and if we talk about the overall export scrap export, then USA has seen the positive numbers, but in the scrap inflow from the UK and parts of Europe has came down as compared to last year. There were also some volumes seen from the Venezuela and UK. So why this trend of bulk has started in India? So the major reason was that the sellers are getting more premium in South Asian countries like Bangladesh and India as compared to Turkey. So Turkey, there were various reasons due to high energy prices in Europe, also due to cheaper billet supply from Russia. The scrap procurement volumes were significantly lower in recent months in Turkey, and the South Asian countries, specifically the India, benefited with the scrap availability, and they were able to secure the good volumes. So even as per the market sources, the premium of India's premium over the Turkey was around $30 per ton in September 22. So the spread between the Turkey and Bangladesh, it was lowest in April 2022, and then we can see the prices have also dropped, and also the volumes were seen on higher side in the South Asian countries. So why bulk scrap is attracting more attraction than container? So this is a good question in front of the industry. So the price trend you can see on a overseas price. If we talk about the HMS 20 CFR Nhava Sheva, and the prices have came down after the bulk supply to the domestic market. Also, the overseas prices have came down after Turkey's even lower volume from the Turkey and other global markets. If you talk about specifically in the domestic market, then it has also corrected, but still scrap availability is challenging in different parts of India. So it is still in a significant level as compared to the last year levels. So there were two major reasons why clients prefer the bulk consignment also here in India. It was the cost advantage specifically, and also the fast shipping time as compared to, because there were challenges for the container availability as well. Another factor for the bulk preference was the freight rates. So bulk rates have also significantly came down. So as per steel mill sources, it has decreased by the 30% from the last year peak. There was also various challenges in procuring scrap from overseas just because of the currency volatility. So you can see that in global currencies, especially the Turkish lira, which has corrected more than 35%. The Bangladesh taka, which has also corrected more than 15% as compared to the USD. So this currency volatility has also led to the cash flow challenges, and also cash flow challenges for the buyers. So this was also the second. That was also the specific reason that why Indian buyers were more able to procure in bulk. There were also LC issues. There were also issues of LC issues in the South Asian countries, in Bangladesh, specifically in Bangladesh and Pakistan. So, but although even after having such issues, they were able to secure good quantities. Higher bank rates are also another challenge right now, and high energy prices are still in globally a bigger challenge for all the producers. So we will be we will be more curious to know this from our prominent speakers in these topics specifically. If we talk about the Indian market and in a producer point of view, if we talk about the metallic realization, scrap versus sponge iron, it has nowadays after export duty on iron ore, the sponge iron has also become very competitive as compared to scrap. So this will be also a prominent discussion point that is producers are trying to increase the sponge iron volume as compared to scrap. But if we can see that still the scrap is more preferred by the buyers because the volume has significantly gone up. So the final point of discussions will be, since there is a decarbonization economy or decarbonization drive, which is going to definitely support the scrap consumption due to the Vienna Convention, and all the countries are making strategies to for the circular economy. So scrap is going to be on a higher side on consumption. So there is also another factor which supported the higher bulk intake in India is the lower intake by the Turkey and Bangladesh. Bulk scrap has also remained the cost competitive over the containers, and there are also LC restriction issues in other South Asian countries. There is also a recent document released by the Indian government, that was Vision 2047, which stressed recycling a lot. So the Ministry of Steel is putting a conscious stress on the decarbonization in its Vision 2047. So ministry is on a mission mode for the green steel, and they are emphasizing the raising steel production capacity through the scrap to 300 million tons. That will have a 60% scrap, and reducing the CO2 emissions intensity by 15%, 50% from present 2.6 ton CO2 per ton of crude steel to the 1.3 tons of CO2 per ton of crude steel. And mission is also emphasizing the reduction in carbon dioxide emission intensity by 20% by 2030, 50% by 2047, and 100% by 2070. So definitely scrap will be in a center point of discussion, not only today but also in upcoming years. So thank you. Over to you, Madhumita ma'am.
Thank you so much, JP. Indeed, impact of recent bulk supply on the Indian scrap market. India's total ferrous scrap imports surged by a whopping 96% to more than 1 million tons in September alone. And in this, the share of bulk imports was at 19%, which is a 277 rise month on month. As JP said, bulk ferrous scrap imports have been rising for some time, and several factors, as we can see, have dovetailed to divert the material usually consumed by other scrap consuming countries to India. There is slowdown in Turkey's procurement. Turkey, as we know, is the largest ferrous scrap importer globally. But skyrocketing energy prices, steep power tariffs, demand drop from Europe are forcing mills there to reduce production. Both Bangladesh and Pakistan are voracious scrap consumers under normal circumstances. However, they too are just not showing much appetite. Thus, global suppliers have been eyeing India big time in a bid to offload material. But I'm sure our viewers are waiting to hear our panelists, Mr. Ritesh Maheshwari, Executive Director, Shabra Metals Private Limited, and Mr. Vaidyanathan RS, CEO and Director, Shakti Steel Industries. I would also request both speakers to restrain their speeches within 5 to 7 minutes so that we have enough time for the Q&As. I first want to invite Mr. Maheshwari to speak. Mr. Maheshwari is a veteran in the international scrap trade international scrap trade, ranging from ferrous, stainless, nickel, alloy steel, aluminium, and non-ferrous. He's passionate about the steel industry with more than 10 years of experience. Over to you, Mr. Maheshwari.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much, Madhumita ji and JP and my co-panelist, Mr. Vaidyanathan ji, for joining here, and all the attendees who are attending this webinar. I think scrap is a very, very evolving subject, and we are very, very glad that finally this particular product, scrap, is getting the due importance in the iron and steel industry in India, which was overdue for last many, many years. And with the government policies strictly in place for more green steel production, we expect the importance of scrap to gain more and more heights in the coming time to see. Now, if we are looking at global steel production, I think India is the one of the only bright spots still. I was just looking at some figures. So, in January to September 2022, India has produced close to 93 million tons of steel already, which is a 6.4% increase year to year over the last year. And in all the other developed or emerging economies, I think India is the brightest spot. And with the government setting up the agenda for massive increase in steel production in the coming years, we expect India's steel production and consumption is going to go up. And resultingly, with the initiatives of low carbon steel making and green steel coming up, it is very natural to assume that scrap consumption and scrap demand is going to move in only one direction, which is north. We are I will say we are in the middle of very exciting times over here, because what is happening right now was something very unthought of even 6 months before, or 7 months before, or even in January 2022. Nobody would have thought India would be buying so many bulk vessels. But that is how the industry is. That is how that is the beauty of this industry. We are a globally connected industry, and I would say in a matter of few days or few weeks, the dynamics change very, very quickly, and and the crucial factors remain the geopolitical scenario, the local demand supply situations in each of the scrap generating and scrap buying countries, as well as, of course, the third most important factor is the ocean freights on both the bulk and the container business. So what Mr. JP's presentation has been quite exhaustive. He has really shown what kind of trends have been happening in the Indian market, and it's there for everyone to see that of late container cargoes are coming out a bit more expensive, but bulk is more attractive. But a very interesting thing I want to put in that particular aspect over here is that even though bulk cargoes are coming in India, even though huge volume has come in, all throughout the period, there has been no rejection or no less inclination for any buyer to buy container scraps over here. For example, if you're buying a bulk cargo at, let's say, $420 for shredded scrap, or $415, hypothetical figure. So if we approach any customer with a container offer of $430, so we are not listening to the words from the customer's mouth, our container is not viable, we'll go for bulk. The reason, what I can see over there, is that the inherent demand is still there. All these while, when the bulk vessels have come in, you can see from your data and statistics as well, container cargoes have also been coming in simultaneously. Also, what is very important is what we are seeing is that a lot of new buyers, new consumers are coming up in all parts of the country. From the central part of the country, northern part of the country, southern part of the countries, we have now entrepreneurs, and it is very exciting. And I gave this presentation in the March 2022 in front of Government of India, Ministry of Steel, that the secondary steel industry is a very, very significant industry, and the government should make wholehearted effort to support the industry. And we are so blessed and so thankful to the government and for the ministry and all the officials that they have got this message and they have worked very diligently on this, and they are making a conducive environment so that the small entrepreneurs are encouraged to go in the expansion mode, to take some risks, get into the investment zone, which is leading to a lot of new buyers coming up in all the parts of the countries of this particular country. That's a very interesting statistic, and I think that is very important for that ecosystem needs to be developed if India has to reach a goal of 500 million tons of installed steel production capacity by 2047. I have tons of other statistics or specific things to discuss, but I think as Madhumita ji has told, I should restrict my initial address to 5 to 7 minutes. It's better, and let us keep engaging with the viewers and everyone. And I'll pass on the button to Mr. Vednathan ji. Sir.
Thank you, Ritesh sir, for highlighting the scrap import trend, especially the container one. That container is still relevant. It's not like that everyone is importing the bulk volume for various reasons, like there are segregation of industries in all the parts of India. I think there in North India, the mill size is not that much big that they can inject the huge volume single-handedly, and so definitely the containers will be still relevant for the India. And also, you have highlighted that the buyers are also coming up from the different parts. So it is also a good sign that people are still participating in the steel production, especially from the EF and induction furnace route. Our second prominent speaker. So I will I think there is no need of introduction for Vednathan sir. Is very well known in the industry. But still, just to formal introduction, Vednathan sir is CEO and the director of Shakti Steel Industries in Chennai, India. He is the alumnus of Harvard Business School and Indian Institute of Management, Trichy. Mr. Vednathan has 30 plus years of experience in steel manufacturing, steel metal trading. He began his career with a steel rolling mill and continued with an entrepreneurial effort in Sharjah, UAE, to later join the Indica Group, Dubai, where he served on the board and also was key individual for more than 23 years. His core competency lies in identifying new geographical locations and establishing the complete sourcing cycle. So I will request Mr. Vednathan sir to just enlighten us with his views on the current contemporary global and Indian scrap market. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay Prakash, and thank you, Madhumita ji. And good afternoon, everybody, and hello to Prakash covered a lot of statistics in his presentation.
Sir, I will request if you can just stop the video. I think the video is stopped.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Really sorry.
Okay. I think there is a slight connectivity problem. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Very much so.
All right. Okay. So, I mean, let me just, Ritesh Maheshwari ji has given a very, very interesting facts, and I would like to add on to both of you, whatever you have said, and something that is unsaid is the change in global trend of scrap is something that I would like to discuss now. I mean, why is the trend is changing? Why I'm saying this is because the Turkey.
Sir, we've lost you.
Market. Hello.
Could you repeat yourself? We lost you. I think it was giving some important stats.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm saying like, why is that? I mean, Turkey has been numero for all these years. And suddenly what happened? Why is that Turkey is going silent? This is something that everybody has to think about. And because this is exactly, we call it a change world order, change in world order, whatever it is. So why Turkey is going silent or why Turkey is suffering now is something that I would like to discuss now, and where the trend will take in future is something that we all should know. The first reason is the Russian-Ukraine war has created havoc, and the depreciating lira and the war has also caused a very, very weak domestic demand in Turkey now. And fourthly, Turkey is losing all its export markets slowly one by one. Like for rebar, the export is lost to Singapore and Malaysia. And if you talk about billets also, they are losing. So this is not something that was happening earlier. This is something newly happening, which we are all not used to. And the inflation, the interest rate hikes, which already Jay has spoken about. And if you look at the steel production compared to last year, they are already 20% down. And the scrap exports to the scrap imports in Turkey is less by 40% this year, which is again a very, very surprising statistics. And all this is because also the cheaper Russian billets that has been pumped into the Turkish markets, because Russia, due to sanctions, could not do business with many countries, but they could with the caused a havoc. And you see the billet prices, FOB Black Sea has got a direct correlation to scrap prices in Turkey. If FOB Black Sea prices on billets goes down, Turkey prices also goes down. This is a very, very interesting observation that I made in the last few months, I would call it. And over and above, all this has caused Turkey to slow down, and now the opportunity has been capitalized by countries like India and Bangladesh. Now let's talk about, now that we know what is happening with Turkey, let's talk about India and Bangladesh. Why India and Bangladesh are so keen to import bulk? You have already Jay has spoken as to why, what are the reasons. But then over and above, I would like to add some more inputs. So the which is very substantial.
We're losing you again, Mr. Vaidhi.
Okay. Hello. Am I
If you
audible?
could repeat, yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. It's bad here. I'm sorry. I apologize to all of you. This is something not in my hand. So yeah, I was saying the Bangladesh imports in bulk has gone up by 74% this year. Very, very interesting statistics. And if you look at India as in the last 2 months, like if you talk about September, Jay has given these numbers, 200,000 tons coming in and almost 335 tons coming in October. And out of the 200,000 tons is coming only to Chennai. That is my place. So that is the kind of interest, being shown suddenly happened that India and Bangladesh are so keen to import in bulk. The primary advantage of importing bulk
We've lost you again. Mr. Vaidyanathan, you've fallen silent.
Maybe he needs to rejoin.
Maybe can you message him to
Yeah.
rejoin?
Ved sir, I think, yeah, already doing.
Meanwhile, Mr. Maheshwari can
Yeah.
say a few words more.
Yeah. No, just carrying on what Mr. Vaidyanathan was saying, that definitely Russian billets have led to this phenomena, and something very unusual, very strange has happened this year. But as I've always believed, and as we could see, I could see perhaps 3 years before also, that it is only a matter of time when the trio, I would not call it India, but the trio of Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh are going to be governing the international scrap consumption or international scrap trade in big volumes. Primarily because these are the only three major pockets, major economies which are experiencing good amount of growth in their scrap consumption and their steel production. So eventually they are going to be running the horses over here. In Turkey, if you look at the kind of the mills are there and the kind of planning is there, none of the mills or none of the country overall in the country, they have such big expansion plans or augmenting of steel production coming their way right now.
And whereas both in India and Bangladesh, everybody knows, India, everyone knows, Bangladesh, everyone knows, Steel Mint organized a conference recently. So you very well know, I think more than 15 mills are there in Bangladesh who are looking for expansions. And some new plants are also coming up, both brownfield as well as greenfield plants are coming. So increasingly, the purchasing decisions or the main so-called market prices will be governed by these three countries, I feel. Vednathan ji, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, please continue. I was
Yeah.
just pitching in for you.
Thank you so much. I don't know what's bad today here in Chennai.
Yeah, it's all fine, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, so these are the reasons why people are keen to import in bulk today. And I also would like to touch upon the freight rates, which probably this will be of interest to you. And this will also pull down the container freight rates. And reason being, China is pretty soft due to their own domestic issues on COVID and on the real estate issues, property construction market going down and domestic demand becoming weaker. There are so many reasons. And likewise, Russia is definitely affected because of the war. So I foresee that the bulk and container freight rates for future would be soft, at least in the short term of 6 months. And if you look at the freight cost to India in comparison to last year, is already down by 30%. And it was $65 and now it is about $48 per metric ton. And so the supply sides would have issues in terms of availability of scrap is going to be an issue because the growing restrictions in many countries like for example ferrous scrap. South Africa is coming out with
We've lost you again.
export duty. Hello?
Yeah, could you repeat yourself? We lost you for some time again.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm saying I was discussing the supply side issues. I'm saying the scrap supply is going to be limited, and I mean the reason because many countries are exporting the ban of they are banning the export of. For example, if you look at United Arab Emirates, they have banned already export up to March 2023, and Doha doesn't permit. The Doha doesn't permit export of scrap. And if you look at South Africa, they are coming out with the export duties and export permits. So I foresee that many countries would adopt this and try to protect their local industry by making scrap available to the local mills. So this is going to make life difficult for in terms of, so this is going to create a kind of a scarcity of scrap. And added to that, the winter is nearing now, and market volatility will continue because even after the war situation, I don't foresee that the stability will come immediately because the sanctions on Russia will continue, and that's going to affect the market. Supply chain logistical issues. On the demand side, because I'm on the now other side of the table, the high input costs is going to make life miserable for the this side of the manufacturers I'm talking about, where the energy issues, the cost of energy is going to be higher, and the exchange rate fluctuation. For example, anybody who has done the booking of bulk or containers in, say, for example, 2 months ago, the exchange rate fluctuations will make your if the currency depreciates, then your imports become costlier, and that will affect your input cost. And also, I foresee the export restrictions on prime steel is so far the government is not showing any interest in withdrawing, because if you look at Tata Steel's cause of the lack of exports. They have attributed the reason to be lack of exports. So export market was one that for all the domestic manufacturers, it was a very useful thing. But then now that market is not there available for us. And one more thing that I would like to touch is the quality of scrap, which is something that very, very important. Like we buy HMS, shredded, PNS, bonus scrap, bushling scrap, and whatnot. And the yield of each scrap is different. We all know that. And the price differs based on the voyage time, because any HMS coming from Dubai, readily available cargo, people are willing to pay more. And if it is coming from, say, for example, Brazil, which is a long voyage, so people are a bit hesitant to buy that kind of a material. So what combinations to buy, how to buy, all this is something that organization Ritesh spoke on. I'm looking. One thing that I would like to add to what Ritesh ji said is the usage of sponge iron is going to be discouraged in the near future, slowly for a period of time. It's not going to happen immediately, but I feel it's going to happen. This means again more scrap utilization. This means more demand for scrap. Let me also give you an India-specific situation wherein you have already, Jay Prakash has already spoken on the vision 2047, of 500 million tons, and 2030 of 300 million tons. And I foresee the current generation of scrap in India is about 23 to 25 million tons. How are we going to bridge the gap? That's exactly is the reason that why we are importing even today. We are a net importer of scrap purely because we don't have scrap domestically to cater into the needs. And with growing demand, Ritesh ji has said, with that, I would like to conclude with a state map is something that you all know already because people have been doing it for years. Now that I am part of Shakti Steel here, so what is that I do? I wanted to share with the audience is that I have started booking on equal intervals and keep booking as a smaller quantity. We as a manufacturer should not take positions, and we should buy periodically to average the market. Select your supplier, select your origin, select the quality of scrap that you need, think of the voyage time, and then plan your procurement. With growing EAF and green steel focus, I'm sure the scrap is going to be at scarce, and therefore we only become cautious on this. Yeah. With that, I would like to conclude this thing, and I'm willing to take the questions. Yeah. Thank you so much, Madhumita ji.
Yeah, thank you, Vetcher, for summarizing all the aspects of procurement from demand side to the availability and concluding it to the buyer's side, means from sellers, demand, availability, and then finally to the buyer side, that how to do averaging and how to absorb the volatility in the prices in the global scrap market. So that was also insightful, and the 2 or 3 takeaways which I will just summarize was that there are wars going on, and so there are a lot of countries which were earlier big suppliers of scrap. So they have restrained right now, like Russia and Ukraine. They were also a big supplier of weak origin. These are weak origin of scrap. These are not available right now. Second, there are restrictions from the Middle East also for the export. Also, the Doha and South Africa, you mentioned that there are going to be export duty. So definitely the availability is going to be a big challenge for the countries who are aiming to increase the scrap consumption. So so after the availability means if you talk about the pricing side, and specifically means if I ask Maheshwari sir, means from supplier side, means why selling to India and Bangladesh buyers is more appealing than Turkey at present, means our suppliers are getting good margins in bulk pressure as compared to containers. So that will be
suppliers are selling in both bulk and containers, but of course for big bulk suppliers right now Turkey is not at all attractive due to influx of Russian billets, lowering of their steel production and local demand. Hence they are moving the tonnages to where the market forces are taking them to. Whereas in India, right now, I think for next in November, December, I think India is going to be again a major fund. Probably we may have a situation where we may have more suppliers than buyers here, lining up for the materials, because I believe
Bangladesh is having some problems in terms of LC opening, and those situations are coming into the play. So their buying is going slow right now. So India is going to be the major factor, and in terms of margins, in terms of lower bulk trades, it's more conducive to sell into India. That's why the material is coming to India.
Sir, I have a follow-up question in this particular question. Is we see the Bangladesh trend. I think when sir has also mentioned that there was increase in Bangladesh, 74% increase in scrap import despite all these challenges. So how do you see? Means how the prices which sellers are getting, will that be supportive in future also in India? Because right now the other markets like US and Europe is not working that much. So the scrap demand is in India only. So are you going to get this premium over the other market in future also?
No, I think scrap is a very, very dynamic market. We cannot be making any long-term predictions on this. And I always maintain that whenever I'm discussing this with any people, that the way the industry looks right now, the way your international ferrous scrap export import graphs look like now, maybe 3 years down the line, the graph is totally changed. The rules are being rewritten. New dynamics are emerging. New supply sources are emerging and the material eventually will flow wherever the prices take them to. So we cannot be sure, but going further, as we see, as I told you just now, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh seem to be the growing markets amongst all the scrap consumers also. Also important to see that European countries are slowly trying their best to restrict their scrap exports. That's also a big factor. So one has to really see in the next 2 to 3 years, how does the situation change? But definitely for sure, no scrap supplier can survive by ignoring these 3 markets. So that kind of importance we will continue to harness. Yes, whether bulk will continue to keep coming to India at this pace, whether prices will remain very high in India at this pace in next 3, 4, 5 months, very difficult to predict. And let's not do that also. I will say scrap is more like a flowing river market. So, you have to keep watching the river, keep flowing in, keep getting in, getting out, and keep monitoring the levels. If tomorrow the Russia war gets over, and I will say that, things will take 3, 4 months or 6 months for Russia sanctions to be lifted, but materials won't stop. Immediately, and market is driven by sentiments. The moment war stops, things stabilize again, sentiment will drive upon. You look at the Turkish mills also. Every mill has a certain amount of stocks in their hand. Right now, everything is going down. With the news coming in, most of the mills in Europe and Turkey will also start restocking also by offloading some of their stocks. That itself will push up their domestic prices. Suddenly, you will see that bulk offers are not coming that too much to India. And sellers, and we are living in the times of WhatsApp. Okay, before you can blink, the information is there in your screen. So everybody knows where to sell and how to sell. So I think we cannot assume bulk will keep continuing to come in India at this pace. But what we can definitely say, that if India has to reach their existing and future steel production targets, India will have to rely on a lot of scrap imports, and India will continue to be one of the major buyers, major players in the international scrap buying market. That is for sure.
Thank you so much. I have a question. Either of you can answer it actually. Japanese material for Bangladesh, Vietnam, and South Korea have been mostly absent in the last few months. What could be the reason?
No, I think I would like to. There is a seldom opportunity to correct the statistics with Steel Mint is having. I think this is one of those opportunities. I think this, yes, statistics are slightly off the record here. In July, perhaps there was some kind of softening. In fact, let me share some of the screen with some of the people here. Yeah, I can share the screen. Yes. Yeah. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So this is Japanese export data for month of July.
So we are looking at Vietnam, Taiwan, China. There was a 15-20% decline in the July figures. Okay, but the moment you move it, can you see the September figures now? So you're seeing, you can easily see a large quantum jump has happened already. So, Japanese scrap is flowing out. It's not that Korea, Vietnam are not buying Japanese scrap, they are buying. But overall, the production is low because the overall interest rates are going up. You very well know Japanese yen is the second most appreciated currency after Turkish lira against the dollar. Overall, industrial activity is going down in Japan. The government is hinting vehicle production is going slow a bit. So we can expect in the coming months, scrap generation is also going to go down. And even though it remains a fact, if you look at it in a long-term view, that the mills have been instructed to use more and more scrap. They've been instructed in Japan as well. So even though volumes are slightly down, but please don't expect the scrap to become in abundant supply from Japan. Japan itself has a huge consumption, and they are a very, very organized economy and very, very organized consumers of material. So, and Vietnam and Korea have been their traditional very big partners. Bangladesh is a peculiar case. Bangladesh and Japan have a very good relationship, but Japanese volumes don't flow too much because Japan has a very because of two simple reasons. One reason being Bangladesh has a very good supply of large bulk vessels from USA and Europe, and Chittagong being a difficult port, everybody wants to buy a single vessel with a 40,000-45,000 ton or 30,000-35,000 tons. Whereas Japanese ports are smaller ports, and no port will give you more than 5 to 8 or 10,000 or maybe 12,000. At max, maybe 15,000 ton vessels. Now, these smaller vessels or sometimes 3,000 tons barges find their way into Korea and Vietnam very, very easily. The sellers also, Japanese sellers also find it much more logistically convenient to sell into those markets. That's why Japan volumes come to Bangladesh selectively. Japan volumes not coming into India at all. Of course, it's a no-brainer because in Asia continent, Bangladesh is always paying a very good price. And I will also say, because particularly this is a topic of a lot of interest for me as an individual. I feel that having traveled extensively in India and Bangladesh, I realized that Bangladeshi buyers are always willing to pay something extra for Japanese scrap. They are too used to Japanese bushlings and Japanese edges. They want to pay that kind of premium. Whereas if you look at any Indian buyers, including Mr. Vednathan sitting here, at the end of the day, he's going to look at his cost. And if Japanese scrap is even $5 expensive, then the USA-based bushling or UK bushling, he won't make the purchase decision towards Japan. Am I right, Mr. Vednathan ji?
Yeah, I would like to add what Ritesh ji just said now.
Yeah.
One thing is let me just give you some numbers on Japan. Japan sells about 60% of their scrap goes to South Korea, and almost 18 to 20% goes to Vietnam. And Taiwan and Bangladesh buys only 5% of their output. And China and Malaysia are the next importing countries. They do about 4% of scrap after European Union and US. And the best part of scrap I would like to highlight here that I have read this somewhere that Japan is trying to increase their share of EAF for this. Okay, so it was about 25% is what they had earlier. Now they are trying to increase this 25% to further. So this is going to attract scrap, and probably I expect that probably in the coming years, Japan may slowly go down on their exports. Now they are doing about 8 to 9 million tons a year is what they export usually. I foresee that probably if their EAF share goes up, interesting information on Japan. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, I think the last line we missed that.
Yeah,
about
no,
the-
I'm saying for 2020 and 2021, on an average, Japan has been exporting about 8 million tons a year, with increasing electric arc furnace share, which they are planning now because of the green steel pressure. I foresee that the scrap generation probably might be slightly consumed locally, and the exports might go down, is what is my observation.
That's a good insight, sir. What we were hearing from the Bangladesh market, especially in Pakistan also, there were some issues of LC restrictions, and everyone was expecting. Even the sellers were following up a lot during our Bangladesh event. Also, there were a lot of discussions from the sellers' point of view that they were not able to get payments on time. So that was also impacting their volumes. Although they were able to secure the good volume, especially the Bangladesh, which Parisar also mentioned that there was 74% increase in the scrap connectivity. So how do you see the present situation? Means is these issues are still there, or is there any improvement on that?
Firstly, your Bangladesh event was something that I liked, and especially Mr. Sanjeev Garg's podcast presentation was very impressive. Secondly, the Bangladesh is coming out with lots of new capacities, the big ones. Okay. And they are expected to grow, I presume that from current 8 million tons, probably to 15 million tons by 2026-27 is what I foresee, given the new capacities. And let me give some insights on Bangladesh. Bangladesh inflation is about the value being remitted outside the country. The exchange rate is now at 101 as against 94 last month. You can see the difference in the exchange rate fluctuation. Okay, so imports are rising in Bangladesh, and also the remittances by the Bangladeshi workers are declining, and this is obviously to put pressure on the foreign reserves. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. So this has forced the central bank to announce a new letter of credit requirement as a tightening measure. So they were bound to do that, and they have no other options other than tightening the measures of opening the LC now. Bangladesh, comparatively, Bangladesh has got a reserves of about $40 billion. Okay. I personally feel, I mean, I just read many countries' foreign reserves situation, and these, I mean,
We are losing you. If you could repeat yourself.
that they are vulnerable now.
Yes, if you could retrace a few
Yes, okay.
lines.
Yeah, I would like to tell, because this is a very, very important statistics for Bangladesh. Bangladesh reserves are at $40 billion now, and they are at a comfortable levels. And these are the measures that they are taking now are all only preemptive measures. So restrictions on LC are all just they are just trying to be cautious, but they are very comfortable. So I feel that soon they will normalize, and Bangladesh will bounce back in terms of the LC opening or whatever it is. The central bank will very quickly come back on to normalize the situation.
Mr. Vaidyanathan, I have a question for you. You said that most of the bulk.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please continue.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you finished answering the last one.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that there's one more thing. Like I said, Jay asked what will happen to Bangladesh and Pakistan in terms of their LC opening abilities and all that. I said Bangladesh will normalize very soon, and whereas Pakistan may not, because the inflation of Pakistan is at 12.2% for the current year, and it is forecasted at 18% for the next year, and the trade deficit has increased. And their foreign exchange reserves is only $8 billion. And this is due to escalating the escalated trade balance, and the current
Lost you again. Very important point.
Current account deficit. Yeah. I'm saying am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the foreign exchange reserves is only $8 billion with Pakistan. And the currency, look at their currency, it was 162.9 last year, and today it is 221. So since the foreign exchange liquidity becomes scarce, banks are turning away the letter of credit. The interbank markets are running out of dollars. So I think, to conclude, I feel Pakistan will find it difficult for 2023 in terms of importing anything for that matter. They will have problems of this LC, and this problem of LC opening to continue in 2023 also, for the above reasons I just said now. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a long-term view on Pakistan struggle.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Mr. Vaidi. You said that most of the scrap that is coming into India, most of it is going towards Chennai. If you could elaborate on that a bit, what are the reasons?
That's because I'm here in Chennai. Okay. See, the why is that? I'll tell you. The India's, let's understand some numbers again here, which will probably be an interest to all of you. The India's domestic scrap generation is only about 25 to 30 million tons. I mean, there is no official data, but this is a general number that is spoken around. And out of that, we import about 5 to 7 million tons on an average per annum, right? This all of us knows this very well. And if you look at the statistics of imports from 2012 to 2019, not even a single year we have imported less than 5 million tons. Okay, that goes to show how important Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Pondicherry, Kerala, all these 6 states I am talking about, there is a production capacity of about 20 million tons. All right. And Karnataka, out of this, Karnataka is the largest with 13 million tons, and Tamil Nadu is only 3 million tons. Okay. Most of the scrap that comes here also goes to Karnataka. Anything that comes to Chennai also goes to Karnataka. And Karnataka being a larger market, it attracts a lot of scrap from here. And the major auto manufacturers are here available in, like, Ashok Leyland, Enfield, Hindustan Motors, Hyundai. There are a lot of car companies. There are about, you will not believe, Madhumitaji, there are about 16 companies here in Tamil Nadu operating on almost 60% of India's auto hub is in Chennai. So there is a humongous Pondicherry, and also even most of the scrap that comes here to.
We're losing you. I mean, very interesting takes, but we're losing you consistently. Could you come again, please?
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, there are auto manufacturers here in Chennai, Ashok Leyland, Hindustan Motors, Enfield, Hyundai, Volvo, and all that. There are about 16 companies operating in Chennai, and 60% of auto manufacturers are in Chennai.
Yeah.
Okay, and most of the scrap that is imported in Chennai or in Tuticorin, all this also catered to the market of Karnataka. Also, I mean, especially from Chennai, I'm saying Chennai, it also goes to Karnataka. Karnataka being the largest 13 million tons manufacturer, so the lot of scrap also goes there. That's why you find Chennai as a very, very important hub of importing.
Very interesting.
Thank you. Vaid sir, I think for our viewers, if Vaid sir will allow, then these stats, and maybe we can do a kind of a written interview of Vaid sir. So you can find all those stats on that article. So that will be best thing. Means
Yeah, I'll do that. Sure.
Yeah, we are missing some voices, but sir, you are putting some very good insights about the domestic market, because these data are not readily available anywhere.
Agree.
So my next question will be to the Maheshwari sir. Means in recent trends, we have seen that integrated mills, the blast furnace route mills, have also started buying scraps, and we have seen that they are also importing the bulk vessels. So how do you see in near future that is the share of scrap in crude steel production from blast furnace route? Is it going to increase, or you are also observing the same trend? And what may be your outlook for the next year for the integrated mills?
Well, if you look at China, which is at the forefront of all the usage of scrap in the blast furnace, or even in Japan, I think the BFs are using between 15 to 25% of scraps already. And the mandate from the Ministry of Steel Government of India is that we have to get green steel making capabilities integrated with our blast furnaces route steel making as well. Already, we know for a fact that Indian blast furnaces have gone to as high as 12% to 15% of scrap usage in their BFs as well. And going further, whatever our projections of scrap demand and supply we have done, we have actually assumed that the blast furnaces will eventually be using close to 20-25% of scrap, at least in their production processes. So definitely this consumption should go up. It is better, it is economically viable, it is less polluting, and it is also helping in producing more cleaner materials for further downstream processing as well. So definitely scrap consumption in the BF route making is going to be here, will be staying here. And we will see more and more mills buying material on a consistent basis.
Can I add
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
sir.
something on this? Because this is again a very interesting question. See, almost 40 to 45% of steel production happens through blast furnace, BF furnace in our country. Okay. Assume that hypothetically we are at 110 million tons and you're talking about 40-45%. You're talking about approximately 50 million tons of manufacturing by the integrated steel plants. Okay. Say 50 million tons. They usually use about 10 to 15% is what we all have heard so far in general. And even like Ritesh just said, like, probably it might inch up to 20 to 25%. Even you take 5% increase, it's about 2.5 million tons of scrap per annum. Okay, Jay?
Yes, sir.
We have to have additional generation of 2.5, or if it will be 10%, then it's going to be 5 million tons per annum. So that is the kind of scrap that they would also look for. So who will bridge the scrap? Who will bridge the gap? So I'm sure no wonder, the many of them contemplating of putting, especially after Nitin Gadkari's, the vehicle scrappage policy. You can see Tata's, Mahindra's, even in South, Sumangala Steel has announced a shredder plant in Pondicherry. And even to tell you on a platform like this, even we are contemplating of putting up this. So there is a lot of scrap processing plants which will come up in the days to come, because the vehicle scrappage policy, we all expect the scrap generation to go up in the coming years.
Got it, sir. So on a buyer's point of view, means if you look into what may be the preferred choice right now, we all know that reason-wise the scrap consumption or ratio between the scrap and the metallics, especially the sponge iron, is different. If you go to north, they prefer scrap more. If you go to eastern part, they prefer the sponge iron or metallics more. And obviously the trend is also on a scrap side for the west and the south region, for the obvious reasons of scrap availability on the regions and scrap and metallics availability, region-wise scrap and metallics availability. So how do you see, nowadays the scrap prices are going down. The sponge prices have also started declining just because of the export duty in the iron ore. So what do you think, since you are now running a steel mill, sir, so what may be your preferred choice? If not looking at Chennai, but if we can also, cover the other regions also.
Yeah, it will always be a combination of both, Jay, because scrap and sponge iron goes hand in hand. And the usage of sponge for us as a steel plant, we it's all a game of price. So again, probably we will switch the percentage of utility of sponge iron. Suppose when the scrap prices are very high, we even go up to 30% sponge iron. So it depends on the availability and the price. But to also to add, for all induction furnaces, yes, scrap is the preferred commodity. Definitely yes. But then sponge iron is also required to average it out. Yeah. So that always hovers around 15% to 30%, depends on the price.
This question is open to both of you actually. How is the currency volatility impacting the bulk ferrous scrap trade in 2022 and increasing the cost of production for mills? So what measures are mills adopting to overcome this?
Probably Ritesh can start and I'll add.
Yeah,
or you want me to start, Ritesh?
I think
Ritesh,
is a mute.
Yeah. Sorry, can I just have can you just repeat the question quickly?
I said that what impact is the currency volatility is having on scrap imports into India? And second part of the question, which Mr. Vaidhi can take, is that it's increasing the cost of production for mills. So how are they,
So definitely, madam, it is beyond anybody. It's a no-brainer that everybody is getting impacted with the dollar getting more stronger and stronger in the rupee terms, and with the imposition of the duty also for some of the plants who have been also in the export markets, especially the stainless units and especially the port-based plants. They with the duty coming in, stainless sector has really suffered a lot, and right now they're having a double whammy. Currency is going up, imports are getting expensive, exports they are not getting viable, that they are not able to realize the benefit. For ferrous side of things also, when people are importing ferrous scrap, of course they are exposed to this currency risk, and as the way it has sharpened and everybody is seeing dollar is strengthening as all the currencies, so they are very considering these aspects, and that is also perhaps one of the reason why in fact, coming to think of it, you can say this currency volatility is a factor where there has been a good offtake of bulk scrap which has come into India. Because if I am a buyer, I will say, okay, if I'm getting an imported container cargo which is $10 cheaper, I would still go for a domestic cargo in INR which is readily available, and I have no currency risk in that, and I'll just put up my trucks and lift that material. That has also led to a good offtake of all the imported cargoes which have come into India, because most of the cargoes are being distributed among 5, 10, 15 different buyers. So I think maybe if you will do a study, maybe I think 20% maximum of the cargoes will be totally consumed by the importers who are importing it. Otherwise, everybody is selling into the market. And Mr. Vaidnathan can also correct me more.
No. You're spot on there. One thing that I would like to, like Madhumita ji asked, as a manufacturer, how do I mitigate my risk when there is so much of currency volatility? I would say that the best risk mitigation method would be, one is to hedge your currency by paying kind of a premium to the bank, and probably that would.
Lost you again. Very important points, but we lost you again.
Sometimes we yeah.
Am I lost you
now?
Yeah, you have to repeat yourself, please.
Risk mitigation method. One would be to hedge the currency with a premium to the bank. So that could be one thing. But a lot of people feel it's a costlier to do that. But if you ask me, I prefer doing that because especially when in such falling markets, when you have an opportunity to buy scrap, whether it's bulk or in containers, and if you can hedge your currency, the premium that you pay as against the volatility in terms of currency, in terms of markets, it's worth paying the premium and mitigate your risk. That's one thing that I would suggest. Secondly, alternatively, you can join a consumer buyer.
Lost you again.
Hello?
We lost you again. You said you can join consortium of buyers. Did you say that?
Yeah, I'm saying one is the risk mitigation is by
We
hedging
had
the
that.
currency.
We had that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have that. Okay. The second one is I'm saying the join a consortium of buyers and divide the quantity between companies and book at equal intervals. And this is something that I'm practicing in my company.
You said you
Okay.
did book. You were booking periodically.
Exactly.
To average
Correct.
out.
Exactly. And like, for example, even bulk cargo, if you want to buy cheaper, suppose there is a vessel of say 30,000 tons, I prefer to take 5,000 tons out of the lot. And the next vessel, I take another 5,000 tons. So I go on like that. So this is something that I would probably suggest that could be one more way of mitigating your risk as a manufacturer.
Sure,
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Fantastic.
So I think we are also running out of time. I think we have
Yes.
also crossed the session's timing. But we will quickly go through the attendees' questions now. So there were some questions from one of the attendee who is asking this: why scrap imports have dropped in October and November again? Which do you think India is done with the restocking of cheap scrap? Maheshwari sir, do you want to take this?
I think you can answer it better. I think the question is not correct. India's scrap imports have not gone down in October and November. October, it has gone up, right? That's what your statistics are saying. The engine is running full steam and probably 120% of the original steam. So the imports have not gone down. And right now, yes, just to allay the fears in the mind of the questionnaire, that definitely there are some good amount of stocks there at the ports, both Chennai and Kandla. But we expect, and Vaidyanathan ji can throw more light, that in 2 to 3 months, the material is moving. It's not like that there are no buyers for the material. The material is moving regularly. Consumption is happening.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Another
Also there is since I'm just putting a follow-up question. Sorry. So since there are a lot of restocking is happening in the port, so the viewers, the attendees also interested to know what may be the price trend in next year. I mean, since we are there is a lot of scrap inflow in India right now.
No, I don't think so. The restocking at the port is an analogy you can reflect in India. I don't think so. We have that kind of buyer base in India, who are just buying scrap for keeping their some tonnage at the port. Nobody wants to do that in India. That's what my understanding is. If I were a trader, I would not like, okay, I should at any point of time of the year have 30,000 tons of stock of my ready material available at the port. We don't have that kind of integrated traders in India who are doing that. That might be a case of iron ore or for coal as well. But not for scrap. Scrap is because you keep it out in the open, then monsoon comes and then rusting starts, quality issues starts, pilferage starts, theft starts. Nobody wants to keep it for a long, long time. That's what I feel. And in terms of pricing, winter season is coming. Vaidyanathan ji has spoken very correctly. I think overall, the way the demand is shaping out and where production is happening, if the steel prices go slightly up, and if China does not continue to keep flooding the steel markets as we have seen in past 3-4 weeks they've been doing, then I think scrap should get sufficient support and the prices will go back to around 450 to 480 levels in the coming 1 or 2 months. Definitely, because right now whatever the pressure is there on the scrap prices is because of overall negative sentiment and China also pushing a lot of steel in the Southeast Asian countries. But overall, it's not like huge amounts of cargoes are available in the market to buy.
If I may add, will this price that you mentioned just now, will it sustain till the end of the fiscal?
No, ma'am, you have to understand.
Yeah, sir, you are in mute.
Sorry. You have to understand, ma'am, scrap as a commodity, you have to understand it's a very dynamic commodity.
I know.
It's a very globally connected commodity. And with such global situations emerging, if anybody is giving a forecast and hitting a bullseye all the time for next 4 months, I think I will like to be employed by them and I would like to be a student of them. What I'm trying to tell you is we can forecast the demand projection and overall this thing, but the price range which I mentioned to you, 450 to 470, if things go okay, and it may reach 500 levels by March also. It can.
Okay. So it's difficult to take a long-term position on
Yes.
price. So that is done.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Fine. I think we've really run short of time and we need to close the session. Thank you so much. A very, very warm thank you to Mr. Maheshwari and Mr. Vaidyanathan for giving us their valuable time. Thank you to JP for joining in. A big thank you again to the Ministry of Steel and the Indian Steel Association for their logo support. And before we end, a reminder to join us for the next webinar on what to expect from the Indian iron ore industry in H2 FY23, which will begin at 3:30 p.m. today. I'm Madhumita Mukherjee, editor Steelman, taking your leave. Bye.